when we talk about scaling up, we also need to look into how that scaling up functions. And in this case, the OTTERS project will be responsible for co-designing and maybe running a few campaigns and pilots that involving multi-stakeholders. And within our project scope, that means citizens, as well as, for instance, schools, different NGOs, different communities. I already talked about fishing communities and divers. We need to figure out how we can capture people's minds, that we don't only attract them for a small part. Citizens are not just data collectors for scientists, but they're also involved citizens that are learning themselves about the ecosystem, and then eventually they're participating in the decision making. So we want to build a community. We don't want to have citizens as only data capture tools, so to speak. We also want to think in transboundary notions. So perhaps the majority of the citizen science projects happen within very local environments, and that's good because usually you have some issue you want to tackle. But water ecosystems, water flows beyond boundaries, beyond nation states' borders. So we want to establish what we call umbrella campaigns. Since this is a coordination and support action, we want to already highlight, catalog ongoing citizen science projects and see how we can link them up together and scaling them up from there. We want to go along our idea of spring to sea stewardship, which means if you have several citizen science projects along, say, a river basin or along a river, one upstream, one further downstream, one along the coast, how can we combine these efforts on one hand to achieve greater success and bigger exposure, but also on the other hand, how this data could be used extensively to link different results together, how we can cover the gaps, but also at the same time, perhaps this would help our citizens think beyond their local neighborhoods. They would think that whatever they do here doesn't only impact their local ecosystems, but it also has a lot of impacts downstream, for instance, on other towns, other cities, other populations. Part of this, we're thinking within the lines of bio-blitzes, hackathons, ideathons, any ways which we can bring citizens together or different communities, and we can co-design these campaigns to have maximum success, maximum exposure and results. And the idea being that after OTTERS is wrapped up in 30 months, we want to create some sort of legacy of the project where a lot of these ideas or communities that are developed persevere and continue their work beyond the scope of this project. So we want to develop toolkits or guidebooks that any school, any NGO, any community can pick up and run similar campaigns with the standardized formats that we will be developing or promoting throughout this project. The idea is also that eventually when the communities are more aware, when there's forms of standardization, all of this will feed into the blue economy, and all of the data produced and the standards produced will be hosted and used within bigger data platforms or structures such as EMODNet, Iliad, eDitto, etc., all the digital twinning of the oceans that is happening currently within the European sphere or the global sphere. So with that said, I don't want to take too much time. You can all check our website for further information, and there will be a lot more information feeding in as the project progresses. You can also sign up for our newsletter if you're interested to hear more about our upcoming events. Would be very happy if you join. But my last message before I open the room for presenters to come and bring in their ideas is, since this is a coordination and support action, we don't want the communication to be only one-sided. So we want you to reach to us and tell us about all the different citizen science projects that are happening or you're running yourselves. Whatever is relevant, we want to connect all the dots together. So we want you to come to us and tell us there are a lot of interesting stuff. We will be organizing a lot of webinars in the coming months to host a number of different projects, be aware, catalog everything that's happening. And at the same time, we can also coordinate some of the actions that are happening. So we would tell you there's a similar project that is happening maybe nearby or somewhere else that would be very useful to connect to and share experiences and learn from, or maybe not reinvent the wheel, but use some of the standards or material that they've been producing. So that, in a nutshell, is the idea of OTTERS. It's coordinating, supporting citizen science projects related to the marine and freshwater environments, and figuring out a way to scale up the whole process to reach to the hearts and minds of citizens for better awareness and more responsibility, developing agency towards their water ecosystems. Eventually, like I said, we want to have all of this material integrated into a much long-term vision of school curricula, online open courses, etc. So I will park it here, not to take valuable time away from our presenters. We will first start with the European Citizen Science Association.